Steel Eel is a roller coaster. The best hypercoaster in Texas. I know, it's not 200 feet. Whatever, let's just get in the analysis. Steel Eel was built by D.H. Morgan Manufacturing and opened to the public on March 6, 1999, with a height and drop of 150 feet, giving a top speed of 65 miles per hour, sending you through a layout of 3,700 feet. And if you don't know what a foot is, go be European somewhere else. Anyways, the ride starts off with an almost 108...
Hey, remember when he said 90-degree turn coming out of the station on Titan?
The ride starts off with a 180-degree turn out of the station and begins to climb the lift where you can take in the view of the surrounding area. And if you look behind you and to your left, you might be able to see Iron Rattler way over there in the park you wish you were in. Eventually, you crest the lift hill. In the front row, you don't get all that much airtime, but in the back row, you float out of your seat before getting slammed back down as the train begins to pull out of the drop. This is just a preview of what's to come. The valley turns you slightly to the left to avoid that crappy blue ride right there, before pulling you up into what my friend Marshall calls the Dolly Parton Hills. In the front row, you get instantly thrown out of your seat with some strong floater airtime, and then gently set back down as the train starts headed back down to the ground. But in the back row, when you start cresting, you gently float out of your seat, and the airtime gets stronger and stronger before... This repeats for the second half of the Dolly Parton Hill, but exaggerated in the back row because the track goes much lower to the ground before pulling out this time. Now it's time to rise into the mid-course brake run. For those of you that are unfamiliar, a block zone... I'm just kidding, I'm not doing that. In the front row you get that sudden floater airtime again, and in the back row you don't really get anything. The mid-course does trim the speed a bit, but not enough to ruin the rest of the ride, unlike some other Morgans. You exit the mid-course with a helical turn that drops down to the ground and rises up again for another airtime hill. This is probably the weakest hill on the ride, but you still get a bit of floater in the front and back of the train. Thankfully, this hill is followed by 3.5 better airtime hills, all giving that floater and slamming. The half airtime hill at the end gives the front row some floater before taking a couple flat turns to cross a service road to reach the final brake run. At the time of making this video, Steel Eel is my number 20 out of 178 roller coasters, and for a bit of context, Magnum is behind at number 34. I absolutely love Steel Eel. Back row is my preferred seat because I guess I'm a masochist and love getting my tailbone pounded. Steel Eel is just a hurt so good kind of ride, but for those of you who aren't into that sort of thing, I suggest riding in the front row for a more gentle experience. But you can't go wrong on the Eel of Steel. The Eel of Steel. Steel Eel.